Welcome to Sterling High School. We're here in the TV studio joined by Mr. Sheehan. Today is March 19th, 2020, and we are on day 4 of distance learning. We want to start the day here just giving a shout out to all teachers and staff, all students for their great job of handling and managing this issue as we deal with COVID-19, the coronavirus, and school closure. So we're going to go through a few things today just to give you an update on where we've been, what we have going on, what we've provided as a school for the district, for the students, for the parents. And we're going to ask some of the questions, just a dialogue, Mr. Sheehan and I today, so that you guys are most informed. So the first thing there, Mr. Sheehan, is what is the update on, from the county, the state, on the coronavirus?
I think it's important that you said that, today's date, it's March 19th at 10:30. As of this time, we're not getting much news from the state. The county is still encouraging our preparedness plans, our communication with our community members, and we just kind of wait word from the CDC, from the state, as to, react as things develop, or continue to develop. So we're standing pat. We're out until the 30th, pending word from some of our government officials at this point.
So it's a difficult thing. We're trying to get as much guidance as we can from the local and the state and health. And just point of emphasis that we are separated here by 6 feet, but we get as much informed information as we can, and then as a district we make decision and recommendation.
It's kind of unique. No one's been through this before. There's no playbook. We're kind of developing it on the fly. We're building the plane while we're in the air, I heard someone say. The nice thing is there's a community of support. There are a group of Camden County and state superintendents and districts that are going through this together, and we're all trying to come up with best practices, ideas that are effective. And what we're learning is each district is unique in its own way. Whatever's best for one district may not be best for another, but it is good to have that voice to bounce ideas off of, or that venue rather, and we're trying to make the best of it. And like you said, to the credit of our staff, our students, our parents, partnering with our parents has been key to this success. But I'll even take it a step further back. Thank goodness our Board of Education, a few years ago dedicated, monetarily towards our one-to-one tablet initiative and this OneNote that we've stressed that our teachers use. It really, I think we're way ahead of where some schools are in terms of our technology and our ability to instruct students with or without the internet. So I know that's going to be a big issue as we kind of go along here.
Yeah, it's great to highlight that with or without internet, the students were able to take what they have, but thankfully in our district, a lot of our students are able to connect. Thank you to Comcast for that Internet Essentials piece, giving students that might not have internet access the opportunity for internet access. But yeah, the one-to-one initiative is huge, and our teachers have embraced it, the students have embraced it, and they're, for the most part, just moving right along with their plans and supplementing where they need to. So just a quick point of emphasis, our school website. If you noticed, we chose this banner that you see on the TV screens. So there's a banner on the website. If you click right on that, that's going to take you to all of our most updates as we deal with this process. It's going to give you the videos that Mr. Sheehan's putting out, any letters that are going home to parents, our key contact lists are there, information for food service, technology support, all that information is right on the website. So moving into more on the teachers. So what's the feedback from the teachers right now and communicating with the students?
We've been pretty impressed with our staff. Again, comparisons that different superintendents have made. This is like Apollo 13. They were given a task and they stepped up and they're doing the best they can. And what we're finding is day to day, they're looking for different ways to connect with their students and to be more effective as remote educators. And having 2 kids here at Sterling, I see the benefits just in my kids alone. So they've been wonderful. They're sharing best practices. They're communicating with us, some difficulties that they're having, and if we can help them out with tech-wise, we do that. Successes, failures, we're having a tough time reaching all of our students. So we're going to try to make a conscious effort at the end of this week to get a list of students who haven't engaged yet, and we got to reach out and find out why. Hopefully it's not by choice. Hopefully they're going to try to get educated and log in and be connected. So teachers have been wonderful. They're volunteering to come up and help out with food distribution, really whatever it takes. So it's all hands on deck, and I couldn't be prouder of how our staff's responded so far.
Yeah, so you highlighted on two things that I wanted to, just the tech support. So any student or staff at any point can email our tech support. It's going to be itdepartment@sterling.k12.nj.us. Again, that's the IT department, and our whole tech team is available, really also working often remotely, but can answer your questions to help provide that support. The other thing is that you mentioned is that we have found some students that aren't necessarily engaged yet, or we're not quite sure if they are. So you're going to look to hear from Mr. Sheehan. Both the teachers are going to Mr. Sheehan is going to follow up with you to get a more concrete number of students that may not be engaged, but then we're going to communicate that as well home to parents, making sure that students are on daily. That's going to be essential for that. And so speak to that, Mr. Sheehan. What is that requirement in order for these days to count in our 180?
Yeah. So the county required a few things. We had to complete a few surveys, we had to have a preparedness plan, and then the last thing, we had to consult with the Department of Health. In doing those requirements, these days count towards our 180 mandatory school days, required school days. So with that in mind, staff is engaged. We don't want students taking a vacation here from their responsibility. It counts as a school day, so we're hoping up. The goal is 2 hours a day, 10 hours a week of instruction. And when we set the plan up with our staff, we want continuous instruction, not emergency plans, not busy work. This is continuous instruction for whatever duration of time that we're out. So that's the expectations on the students, and we're looking for the parents to support that. Make a routine for your child, your student, to get up every day, first thing, have some breakfast, do some exercise or whatever it may be, but then log on and get working. And then really that communication with us is important. If you're having an issue, please make us aware, because we don't want tech to be, or communication with a teacher to be the barrier here to an education.
Right. So again, the building is open right now, the front office, 10 to 12 students can come up for tech support. That's going to be today, tomorrow, Friday, the 20th, and then moving forward on Tuesday, it'll be 10 to 12 again for tech support and also food. So let's transition to food service. That's something that every district is scrambling to do to make sure that students that need or want access to food have it. So tell us about what's happening there.
Right. So part of our preparedness plan was to do a survey of our students who need food. It's our free and reduced lunch students. Our NutriServe, who's our vendor, they're supplying 5 days worth of food. And those packages could be picked up. This week we did Tuesday and Wednesday. From here on out, for the duration of our timeout, it's going to be every Tuesday from 10 to 12 for pickups. And it's a 5-day package. It's preserved. It's not going to go bad on the students. And we've had a lot of staff volunteer to come up and help with that distribution. If there's any student that cannot get here in those hours, please let us know. If we can, we'll run it to your house. We'll try to provide for hours outside of 10 to 12 on Tuesday, because I think it's going to be important that as we go through this, that people are aware of their food needs, and if we can provide for that, we want to make sure we're doing the best job that we can to get it to you.
Very good. There's a lot of buzz, a hot button question just for seniors, right? Approaching the end of the school year, what does that look like? So there's a couple things I think you want to comment on there.
Yeah, this is really going to be a challenge, for us as Sterling High School, for the seniors and their parents. There's nothing concrete, and that's the toughest thing. I wish I had something to tell them. So again, as of Thursday, March 19th at 10:30, the first thing we're going to try to tackle here is the senior trip. And, we're going to meet with the trip advisor, find out what the status is with the hotels, with the planes, with the buses, and with Disney. And hopefully they're going to give us some information that we can pass along to our students. We're hoping that there's some options. There's a big date as March the 20th to recoup some of the money that they put down, but we're hoping for an extension so that they can kind of evaluate as we go along here. So seniors and parents who are going on the trip, I hope to provide that information shortly. And then the second thing is the prom, and we're looking at some options with the prom. That date of May 1st is really going to be a tough one to follow up on, simply because I think the CDC is putting large groups for the next 8 weeks. I think we're down to 10 people in a meeting. So we May 1st doesn't look good. So we're gonna look at some options that we may have. But again, these decisions may be made for us by the federal government, by the state government, or by the county. So we're not alone in this. Other schools are kind of going through this. So we got to get creative. Graduation's far off. Hopefully we'll have some time to see how things develop and come up with a plan to see how things go at the end of the year. But I really feel for the seniors. This is their opportunity to kind of experience these things one time in their life. And, unfortunately, this pandemic, may take away some of those experiences.
So just reviewing, there's no concrete answer on some of those things, but that we are exhausting every resource. All of our advisors are heavily engaged. You met with them to come up with all the information and give all of our students the best options for those things with senior trip and prom for sure. So really, what other business items do you have before we go into some highlights that I'd like to go through?
Well, I want to flip it here. I want to ask you, you're pretty good at technology. So, we're in week 2. Teachers have been told to plan for 4 weeks. When it comes to tech, if a student doesn't have internet, I think it's important to go over that again. Moving forward, what are we looking for our staff to do if it were to extend? So from the technology, what have we accomplished and what do we still have out there?
Yeah, great. Now, we talked about it already that the students have and the staff, we were already one-to-one as a district. So huge shout out again to the Board of Education. So we didn't have to hustle to hand out and distribute devices, though if you were a student that didn't have a device, you're able to come up and we can get you a device, but those were few. So we asked the teachers and the students to sync their devices before leaving Sterling High School. Now, that was specifically for those students that don't have internet access on a regular basis at home, so that they at least had the groundwork, the framework of what the lessons might look like moving forward for the next 2 and 4 weeks. Now, don't think that limits you, teachers or students. If you do have internet access, then you're syncing all the time on your device. Make sure you're connecting to the internet and you're using your email and just use your search bar to search and that makes sure that you're connected, and you should be syncing throughout that process. So the initial here weeks and 2 weeks, some great feedback from the teachers and the students on being able to go on there. And there are some bumps and rough edges, but the IT department and teachers have done a great job. One of them was, for example, the YouTube was not functioning the way we wanted it to, and they've addressed that, and that's functioning. So teachers are able to link the YouTube to their OneNote so that they have them. Moving forward, we're going to look for increased creativity. The students are going to have to look for the teachers to add more supplemental material to what's going on in what was the normal routine. As a staff or as an administration, we're going to look as if this continues beyond this third quarter, what does that transition look like between quarter 3 to quarter 4, and making sure that students and teachers have everything they can for that. But overall, we're in a good spot because everybody has that device, and so we're ahead of the game, I think.
So one more question with that. So say, we're hearing that people who apply for Internet Essentials, it's 7 to 10 days, which is great. It's within our window of 2 to 4 weeks of lesson plans. But if a student can't sync up from home and they don't have internet access, what can they do?
That's a great question. So 2 things is you should have synced up to get started. So you need sync or sank.
Yeah.
You should have some level of lessons on your device in OneNote. So work through that. So what can you do as a supplement to internet? You can literally drive your car up here. The days that we're open, 10 to 12, we can manage, students. We'll obviously make sure it's not more than 10 in a space at a time, but we can manage you coming up here and syncing. Comcast also offers that broadband Wi-Fi. So if you go to Comcast and you search on your phone, local hotspots is what it's called, you might be able to find one in your development where you live, or near maybe another business place that might still be open right now. But you could literally pull your car up outside and connect to the Wi-Fi, and that would help you.
Good.
Yeah.
All
right, so I want to point to social media. So Mr. Sheehan is on Twitter, and he has Night Principal on Twitter where he's posting and he's retweeting a lot of things. Another social media item is the Believe in You. So if you would follow Believe in You on Twitter, you're going to get some up-to-date things. Today, they've been doing different challenges. Did you see the challenges that?
I didn't see today.
Today, I think, was they were pushing for the foreign language department. Okay. Yesterday, I think, was
salsa dancing.
Yeah, salsa dancing with the arts. They retweeted Mrs. Phillips had posted some stuff from the art, so we can see some of the art that was done. So follow Believe in You and respond to some of those challenges that they're giving you on that.
And I think that's been a great way to communicate, to stay in touch with, we want to see students, we want to see them involved. I know the first day was showing people that as they were doing remote learning, it's kind of fun, it's challenging, it's exciting kind of to see the feedback we get. So I appreciate Mrs. Johnson and Believe in You for doing that, and I really appreciate the students responding. And again, I think it shows we're in this together, and we're trying to figure out ways to make it creative and interesting for ourselves.
Yeah, good. Athletics, we did similarly. So we had an opportunity to meet as the athletic department before we left and closed the school. And so much of the spring sports coaches are communicating via a social media source, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, or Remind, amongst others. But they have been posting challenges or workouts, individual workouts, and we've had overwhelming response of students getting those in too.
And if I can, since you're the director of activities too, so say that they had an activity that was scheduled for these next 2 weeks. I know we had the spring musical.
Yeah.
We have a walkathon coming up April 9th. Some of these activities, are going to be canceled. Some will be postponed. Kind of explain a little bit about that.
Yeah, again, so we're pulling the guidance from the local CDC, whether it's the governor or the president that's given us updates, and so we're forced to, the best case is postpone. And so speaking of our musical, the Newsies is going to be a fantastic production, and as a district, we're committed to making sure that that goes off. But we have to postpone and wait until we get more information, and some of those events will happen just in the time that we can. So we talked about social media and athletics. I'm reminded of what the governor and the president had said recently is the young people need to take this COVID-19 seriously. You should avoid getting in groups. What was great is we saw students doing FaceTime, group FaceTimes, 6 to 8 people on FaceTime. That's good. We don't want to necessarily see you all in a house together, studying together. As much as we appreciate your eagerness and creativity and getting together, you got to try to limit that. Throwing, I would say, with a partner, your neighbor, throwing and catching with them, that's a good thing. Going out for a run with a partner is probably good and healthy, but if you're getting together as a large group, that's something that we would want to discourage as well.
All right, and if I could add one thing, as we get information, the method that I'm going to use to communicate that to the community, we mentioned social media, but we're going to use a school messenger, and school messenger is predicated upon the information that is in OnCourse, the parent portal. So if you're not getting emails to date, be sure to update that aspect of OnCourse. So it'll be a voice message, an email, and we'll try to do a push notification. Then, Mr. Claybourn and I and our other teachers will put out through Twitter, hey, check the website, look out for the latest update. But that's how we're going to work. We'll work with the website, visit this website, Channel 19, any media that we can to get updated information out to you. We'll do that because we are getting information, daily from the county, and we hope to hear soon from the state or the CDC.
All right, good. So continue to be connected, plugged in. Shout out here to Mr. K, Mr. Farr, helping us do this morning news segment for you today. Again, this is March 19th, 2020. We are on day 4 of our distance learning. And we're going to look for daily updates on how our Sterling High School is going to respond to this pandemic.
Yeah.
All right.
This major challenge. If I could just say one more thing. Hey, do everything you can do to stay healthy. Do everything that you can do not to spread this virus, and be well. I mean, that's really the message here from Sterling High School. All right, so we'll sign off with be well, and as always,
go Knights.
Go Knights.